These book roundups are quickly becoming my favorite thing to film. I read so many good books for November. I did not think I was going to be able to read this much, especially with, you know, the holidays coming up, and November was just crazy busy for my family. I mean, crazy busy. So much going on. We had family in, we had Thanksgiving, and then we just had stuff like on top of that. So I was thinking there's no way I'm going to be able to read more than like 2 books this entire month, but I read a lot more than that. So let's jump into the stack. The links will be down below for all of these books. Also, if you have a Goodreads account, you can follow me on there, and then you can see like in real time what I'm reading rather than waiting until the end of the month. I know a lot of us like to read, you know, things like that and see, you know, real time stuff like that. I'm kind of that way. So I love documenting my books and my reading through Goodreads. I love my Goodreads account. So I do try to update that as much as I can. And then I update it at the end of the month with a blog post that is up on my website right now, which is down below in the comments, or in the description box, I'm sorry, and with this video. All right, it feels like I read this so long ago, but it's because I read it at the beginning of the month and I binge read it for 2 days because I had to know what happened. This book is called Forbidden Child. I heard about this on one of the Canon podcasts, Stories Are Soul Food. I love that podcast, and they're always talking about books and movies, but I love it when they bring in new books. This is such a good book. This is a middle grade book. So I actually bought it for my son, but I bought it for me too. I got an autographed copy because I did it on a pre-order, so I actually have Gwen's signature in here, so I feel like it's like a collector's item. And I fell in love with the story. This story centers around a 13-year-old girl named Piper, and this is like The Hunger Games meets The Giver, but it's on a cruise ship. I know that makes totally no sense at all, but okay, it's so good. It is so good, and it's very different, especially because the setting is on a cruise ship and it's a dystopia book. I love dystopia. That's like my favorite genre. So this was super up my alley. There's no love story going on, totally clean book. There is a little bit of violence, but it's nothing that my 13-year-old couldn't handle. I think he was a little surprised because he's not used to reading this type of genre, but he was so intrigued by it, and he and I both read it within like 48 hours. We were done. I stayed up till midnight reading the end of this book because I was so excited. The ending is what shocked both he and I so much. It takes a lot to surprise me with the book. The ending on this one surprised me. Fantastic book. Great job, Gwen. This is her debut novel. 5 stars. I'm not a big 5-star person, but that one was a 5-star. Okay, you guys know I've been obsessed with Jamie Jo Wright books. I didn't finish this one. I put off buying this one forever. This was the one that came out for October. This is a Christian fiction suspense mystery novel. You know, she always has like an element of like paranormal type things, but it's always like everybody thinks it's a paranormal thing, but here's actually what it is. It's like a logical thing, a logical conclusion at the end of the book. I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. I was invested enough to where like I think I read about halfway. Yeah, just looking by the crease in the in the spine, I read about halfway through the book, and then I was like, I don't know, like I wasn't interested enough, I guess. Like I lost interest in it, and I just flipped to the end and read the conclusion. It was a good story. It wasn't for me. I love all of her books. This is the first one that I didn't actually finish all the way. Sorry, Jamie. The next one was a Kindle book, The Letter Tree. Again, this was not totally my style. I did finish it. I finished it in a couple days. This was a Romeo and Juliet type book, star-crossed lovers. The parents are trying to tear them apart, but it was set in the 1920s. And it was about this man and this woman who exchanged letters in a tree, thus the letter tree. It was just a love story though. So it was clean. It was closed door. your teen girls could read it just fine. It's a cute, romantic little story. It is. I mean, take for what it's worth. It is a good book for what it is. I like a little more suspense, action type book. I don't typically like books that just center around a love story, which is why like the Hallmarky type books are just not my style. So you don't typically see me reviewing those types of books. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a boy mom and my tastes have changed, but like I need something else. I need another element to like keep my interest. I did finish it, but it took me a little bit longer than most. I think it took me like a week to get through the end of the book, but I just wanted to read the end of the book because I purchased it. So I think I gave it like 3.5 stars and rounded it to 4 on Goodreads. Clean, but okay. For the kids, I read Robinson Crusoe. We're studying this book in the Great Christian Stories for Generations, and I like to make sure that I actually know the story so I can follow along. Wasn't my favorite, but it's like a boy adventure book too, so you know, 3 stars for me, but probably a 4-star for my kids. But again, not totally my type of book, but you have to take it for what it's worth. It had enough in it to keep me invested and interested, and I listened to the audio version of it like while I was cleaning and making dinner and stuff over the last couple of weeks. But man, it seems like a long book. I don't know, like it starts to drag for me. But each chapter is like, there's like some exciting thing going on. He's stranded here, he's shipwrecked there, he's stranded here again. And you know, it's crazy. Like that book is crazy and it's almost hard to keep up with. There's a lot of talking points for that book. Clean book, has some violence, but it was written several hundred years ago, so you have to take it for what it's worth in that aspect too. I think a lot of people try to view and rate books through the lens of a reader today rather than taking it for what it's worth. Like this book was written several hundred years ago and you need to read and appreciate it for the work that it was then. Okay, my favorite book of the month, at least top 5, maybe top 3 of the year, Rebecca. I saw this book on the Compass Classroom list for teens, for the high school list of novels to read. Totally caught my eye. I was thinking I was going to read C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy, but then Rebecca caught my eye and I was like, that looks like a pretty cover. I need to look at that. And then it was off from there. This is the one I got on Amazon. I'm so glad I bought the physical book. I feel like the Kindle or the audio wouldn't have done it justice. I actually read slower and I absorb more when I have a physical book. Wow. I can't tell you a whole lot about this book because it would spoil it, but this was the first book that I had to like discuss with my husband. And when it came to the page, and if you've read Rebecca, then you know the page I'm talking about. When it came to the page where like everything was revealed, I gasped and I screamed, I knew it! And my husband just started laughing and he tried to talk to me and I was like, no. I have to finish this page. Hold on. I read the page and I was just like, I knew it. I loved this book. Okay, so I'm gonna read the back for you just to give you a little bit of a taste of what this book is about. Go get this book. If you haven't read this book, go get this book. Working as a paid companion to a bitter elderly lady, the timid heroine of Rebecca learns her place. Life is bleak until on a trip to the south of France, she falls in love with Maxime de Winter, a handsome widower whose proposal takes her by surprise. Whisked from Monte Carlo to Manderley, Maxime's isolated Cornish estate, the friendless young bride begins to realize that she barely knows her husband at all. And in every corner of the room is the phantom of his beautiful first wife, Rebecca. Rebecca is not the main character, but she is kind of the main character in a way. And we don't even learn his new bride's name until like halfway through the book. It was so different. Now, this book is a secular book. It was not written by a Christian. It is not a Christian book. There are a couple curse words. It's very light on the cursing, but the romance is closed door. We don't see any of that throughout the book. It is more of like a suspense mystery novel than a love story. The love story is very secondary. It's on the back burner. And the whole book kind of revolves around this mystery of Rebecca, the man's late wife. This was so good. I found myself thinking, when I wasn't reading about this book, I was thinking about it all day. It was insane. I just could not stop thinking about this book and trying to fit all the pieces of this puzzle together, because you don't learn very much about it, and then all of a sudden it just like starts tumbling out, and it's just, when it does, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was totally different. It felt like such a different book. This book was written in the 1930s, which also gives it kind of a different flair, because a lot of books today are written from the perspective of somebody living in that time. It was, you know, the setting would be in the 20s or 30s, kind of like the letter tree. But this time the writer is living in that time, and you can tell it's different because she's living it. Like, you can see the different way that they spoke, and they, you know, the decor in the home, and you get such a different feel from somebody who is actually living in that time period. So I loved that about it. But again, the author is not a Christian. This is a secular book, but totally worth it. Your older teens definitely could read this book. I don't see any major red flags in here for the older teen crowd. I wouldn't let my middle schooler read it, but older teens, yeah, I think it's just fine. I think even boys would like this. Honestly, it was just like, I had to know what happened to Rebecca. And then when I found out, it was just like, you know, it's just like this gasp. It was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it. Definitely gonna be in my top books of the year for me. And I won't be thrifting this one. This one I'm gonna be keeping. So that one is staying on my shelf as a favorite book. I always keep my favorite books, and that one I'm definitely keeping. Okay, that is my book stack for the month of November. I'm already into reading my December books. I finished a novella last night, and I'm gonna be starting a new one today. I don't know if I'm gonna be reading a lot of Christmassy books. I don't know. Again, like the romance Hallmark type books are just not my thing. So I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But I need like another element. You know what I mean? Like I need something else in the book, or I lose interest very quickly. So we will see. We will see. I'm gonna try. I read a Christmas novella last night that it was fast enough to, it was good. For me, I read it in like 2 hours. So we'll see. I don't know. I can't take too much Hallmarky stuff. So. But do you guys like my shirt? This is like my new favorite shirt. It's my Christmas tree book shirt that I got. I bought this with like a couple other shirts, but I had to have the Christmas one because it's Christmas. So it's my favorite Christmas shirt right now. I love it. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy homeschooling.